So, a major retooling of the shuffle. What kind of impact do you see this cabinet having?
Well, to be candid with you, I'm not certain it's going to make a major difference from an electoral standpoint in terms of how the public perceives the government. And that's because although there's a ton of ministers moved around, moved in, moved out, promoted, demoted, the truth of the matter is that the core agenda of the government isn't changing. The portfolios that matter most, finance, foreign affairs, environment, natural resources, they're not changing. So, the people who execute on behalf of this government is changing in some regard, but what the government's going to be focused on and how it's going to go about it, there's no indication that that's changing.
A lot of people think that this is too large of a cabinet. It's bloated. What do you say to that?
That's been the case probably since at least the Mulroney years. We've had somewhere between, 30 and 40 ministers. It is big, but that suggestion is born on a notion of, well, what is the cabinet there to do? And the truth of the matter is a number of these people are effectively ambassadors. They're government ambassadors to parts of the country, to certain demographic groups, to stakeholder groups. So in that sense, they play an important role. It's just not one that maybe necessarily resonates. If you wanted to actually reduce it to the number of people required to, take on core government functions, sure, it would probably be 12 or 15 people strong. But that's not the truthful definition of what a cabinet does or ought to do in 2023.
And the opposition says that this shuffle won't do much to help Canadians, those who are either looking for housing or having trouble paying their bills. Do you agree?
Well, that's going to always be the opposition's response, which is, you get this boring, turgid repetition of, well, they're shuffling the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. It's said every single shuffle. I do think that the government is more or less committed to its own economic course. I don't believe that you're going to see a substantial change with respect to communications from this government because I don't think that they've changed those key portfolios. The one big exception in my mind to that is around housing. They are genuinely beefing up the housing portfolio, usually left to municipalities and to the provincial government. They clearly recognize it's an anxiety for people in every part of the country, particularly large cities like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. They put Sean Fraser, who's an outstanding communicator, sharp as a tack, and they've given him the resources to do the job. They've given him a real department. They've linked it with infrastructure, which flows billions of dollars on an annual basis to municipalities and through the provinces. That link up is going to allow the government to, exert some change in the area of housing. I don't think they're going to snap their fingers and suddenly 5 million homes will appear overnight, but they can incentivize change using those tools. And I think they put the right person in the job. Sean Fraser is a real ball of talent. He's been underutilized in this cabinet. I think he's going to get his moment in the spotlight.
Scott Reid for us. Scott, thank you so much. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.